And welcome. This is Mary Ellen McGonagle with your weekly MEM Edge show, the show where we bring you where the action is in the broader markets, and certainly lots to uncover today. Let's get started. I'll share with you our agenda, and as always, we are going to go ahead and start by reviewing the broader markets. Very positive action to end the week, so we'll review that. Also, base breakouts on earnings. Earnings season has begun, and by and large, generally positive. So we're going to review some of those stocks that have had base breakouts on earnings and then base breakouts otherwise as well. Also, downtrend reversals, that end of the week rally Thursday into Friday, has produced some stocks that are entering back into uptrends, and you'll want to know all about those. Also, a move into cyclical stocks that has also progressed as the week has gone on. So we'll look at that. So before we do that, let's just take a look at some of the more impactful headline news here this week. We did get news early on that US inflation remains really quite high. Consumer price index came in high. I'm sure it's not a surprise to many of you at all, with higher cost across the board. And then also the Federal Reserve did come out with their minutes. They talked about tapering. Actually, this was a comment about tapering bond buying over the next 2 months. We're not quite sure the exact timing. The actual minutes were the prior week, but this was a comment that the Federal Reserve did make. Also, strong earnings reports. We talked about that. Weekly unemployment claims, they actually dropped 11% from the prior week. And the good news is we are back at March levels, which really was pre-pandemic. We weren't quite in the throes of that yet, so good news on unemployment. September, we did see retail sales rise rather sharply, and this was on the heels of a nice August number as well. So consumers back in the game, helping to keep the economy in an expansion mode. Next week, not a whole lot, but we do get industrial production, some housing data, and then again, that weekly jobless claims will be reported. So let's go ahead and take a look at the broader markets. We're looking at a daily chart here of the S&P 500. And as always, I do like to really zone in on these moving averages. The green is your 10-day, we have a 21, and then the red is your 50-day simple moving average. And if we look at these generally uptrending periods, normally it is during the time when the broader markets are above these moving averages. That's what you want to see, as well as momentum indicators also in positive territory. So this week on Thursday, we did see a very nice downtrend reversal take place. The S&P closed right above, a hair above that 50-day simple moving average, and we did get a nice follow-through rally today. So we are back in a confirmed uptrend here. We can see the RSI is now not only trending upward, but above that neutral 50, and the stochastics as well trending upward and above 50 into positive territory. So certainly good news there. This was a much lengthier pullback than the preceding ones. We've had 7 pullbacks year to date, and this one certainly was the lengthiest as stated. So lots of damage, but then as such, when the markets do reverse, lots of opportunities. So let's take a look behind the markets. We want to see which sectors are either have perked up or are in the beginning stages of doing so. So we have the 11 S&P 500 sectors. This is a 2-month daily price chart. I've added that RSI, relative strength indicator, and it is in descending order. We want to focus on where the strength is currently in the market. It's going to be in this upper left quartile relative to your weaker areas. And take a look, energy front and center. We've been talking about energy for several weeks now, and the group remains in a very confirmed uptrend. It was not your top performer this week, but it is still a relative outperformer. From here, this is newer this week. discretionary did a very pronounced way, has broken out to a new high. And of course, today's retail sales did help the cause, but there are other heavyweight names in retail, I'm sorry, in the consumer discretionary area that's really driving it. That's what you want when you see these bigger sectors. Take a look at some of those heavyweights. Tesla up 6.1% for the week. Amazon had a nice day. Hopefully we'll get to take a look at that chart. So your heavyweights helping, but also other areas that we're going to uncover as we move along. Let's take a look at another, this is newer to the uptrending area here, if you will, because into last week, into the beginning of this week, most of the sectors were still below this key 50-day. So what we're looking at here is materials, basic materials. XLB is the ticker. We're going to take a look at some of these downtrend reversals that are taking place. And this is all part of that move into cyclical stocks. Financials, we did identify with my MEM Edge report as having turned positive. We have a number of winning names in this sector, particularly bank stocks, and all about earnings. Some good numbers reported. So we can see that financials remain in a nice uptrend. And then another newer to the uptrend arena, if you will, are industrial stocks, XLI, nice gap up today. We're not quite getting confirmation with the MACD, but certainly your RSI in positive territory. So there are names there that we're going to look at, because let's just take another quick peek here. We can see that industrials, for the most part, peaked in price back here in May, had a secondary rally attempt, and then since then have been in a go nowhere to deteriorating environment. So this uptrend, if it sticks, because really one day does not a trend make, there is definite opportunity within that sub-industry grouping. Let's take a look at technology, because tech was among the top 4 performers, the only non-cyclical area up here in the forefront, and very nice in the sense that it has broken back above this 50-day. We are seeing growth as well as cyclicals participate. And this is really what you want to see in the broader markets to confirm or at least point to a nice potential continuation rally. So from here, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the underlying industry groups beyond the 11 sectors. Actually, I would be remiss to not point out these weaker areas. Communication services, all about internet related. A lot of this is Facebook. It's continuing to deteriorate. Google was up not by much, it underperformed this week, but other areas, but it is starting to pick up. I have a number of stocks here on my watch list. I want to participate when the group comes back into favor. So go ahead and try on my MEM Edge report. I'll get you in front of these big movers just as they're turning. So from here, we're going to take a look at those sub-industry groupings. I do tend to focus on higher, faster growing areas, but also not to ignore other areas such as the price of oil, bank stocks, KRE is the ETF I use there, and software, semiconductors, biotechs, and so on. So again, that RSI relative strength descending, going to update that. And here we are, Brent crude up here in the forefront, $84 a barrel. And this is an area that, again, subscribers to my report are well aware of. We've picked up a number of winning stocks now, up 35% or more. And we can see a lot of that has to do with this continued uptick here in the price of oil, but it's also supply demand related as well. Energy crisis taking place in Europe and China. So a lot of bullish dynamics there. We can take a look from there at KRE. This is that regional banking ETF. And we can see that it was really nice downtrend reversal here at the end of September. A lot of this is higher interest rates, but more recently, all about earnings. We are seeing not only these big money center banks, Morgan Stanley, Goldman, and so forth. A lot of regional banks are also reporting, and they will be reporting into next week. A lot of pretty explosive moves, I have to say, within the banking area. And then, of course, we have to take a look at the yield on the 10-year. This is that move that I talked about at the end of September that gave banks the initial push. This is the yield on the 10-year Treasury. And we can see that it did pull back for the week. We got a little bit of an uptick today, but for the most part, it was mostly flat. We're at that 1.57 level on the yield for the 10-year. And really, this is that area that people were kind of fearful that we might get back up to 1.7 on the 10-year, but we are still remaining in this 1.5, 1.6 area, which is good for growth stocks. Higher interest rates do tend to put a dent in growth stocks performance. So let's keep moving on here, because a lot of things took place, a lot of rotation last week. So here we are with IGB, the tech software ETF, and we can see a nice downtrend reversal. And I've been talking about this in my report. Among growth, among tech, software really was setting up to be the first out of the gate, and it did. It turned bullish on Wednesday before the broader markets did, but in good standing there. There are over 300 software stocks out there, so you want to make sure that you get those proper names. And again, this is an area that I focus on with my biweekly report, and lots of winners in there taking shape. So from here, we can go ahead and move further and just take a quick look here at semiconductor stocks. They did have a nice late week rally. Yesterday, TSM came out with earnings, a heavyweight name, had lots of good news into 2022. So we're still looking for the group to turn positive, but there are definite candidates that have already reversed their downtrends in semiconductors. So from here, let's go ahead, because I did talk about some very diverse areas that we are going to go ahead and take a look at. And first up, I did want to look at some of these base breakouts on earnings, and then talk about some of these, what I call add-on plays. So let's go ahead and look at a stock today that came out on with very good earnings. This is JB Hunt. JBHT is the ticker. We're looking at a daily price chart. I'm just going to mark this up here, because what is or did occur today is a nice base breakout, but other characteristics also took place. The stock gapped up on the strong earnings news. It's up about 9% on the day. So this is that gap up. And when you see stocks gap up out into base breakouts on big volume on earnings, that's a very bullish sign. You want to be on the lookout for these types of charts. They aren't going to happen terribly frequently, but when they do, definitely pay attention. So from here, we do want to take a look at some of what I call add-on plays. These are other trucking stocks that have not yet reported their earnings, but because of JB Hunt's report, they are also experiencing these gaps up. This is Old Dominion Freight, ODFL, another gap up here, pretty good volume. Almost made it to that base breakout, but pulled back. But I did want to point out this very early move here on the MACD, that black line up through the red. Oftentimes when you are able to get in early, you can be at the beginning stages of a nice uptrend. This company is due to report their earnings on the 27th, so later this week. Let's take a look at another trucking stock that also had a nice gap up in response. This is a smaller company, SAIA, but again, that MACD crossover here, nice momentum indicator, and the stock is now at a new high. The gap up did push the stock out of a out of a base. But we are going to take a break. And when I get back, lots more that we're going to take a look at here. So stay tuned. Hi, this is Mary Ellen McGonagle, author of the MEM Edge Report. In my biweekly report, I highlight top growth stocks as they enter buy zones. and I educate subscribers on why that stock is attractive both technically and fundamentally. In addition, you'll be alerted to when it's time to exit that stock based on negative technical action. And this bi-weekly report gives you confidence by providing fundamental insights into why an area of the market is strong and which companies within that strong area have the best growth profiles that'll help propel that stock higher. Subscribers to the MEM Edge report are benefiting from my expertise in uncovering top performing growth stocks. Subscribe now to take advantage of my special trial offer. And we are back. I'm going to begin this segment by talking about some of these downtrend reversals. And of course, in addition to looking at names that have reported earnings, you also want to make sure they're in a strong group. So first up here is Goldman Sachs. GS is the ticker symbol. And this is a company that has been reporting explosive quarterly earnings results, a lot to do with their not just their asset management, their trading, but also bringing new companies to market, IPO, underwriting, and so on. So we can see on today's release, we did get that nice gap up in response to their strong earnings report. Let's take a look at some other characteristics that would really draw me to this, and that is the stock broke back above this red 50-day simple moving average. It did so on big volume, nice RSI, trending upward. We're not quite in positive territory yet, but we did get that black line up through the red, that bullish MACD crossover. So Goldman looking very interesting here on this downtrend reversal. Not as growthy as some of the other names I tend to traffic in, but certainly looking quite compelling. Another name, Morgan Stanley, they came out with their earnings today, not quite as convincing looking in the sense that, yep, it broke above that 50, but rather barely. We did get good volume and other outside momentum indicators are constructive as well. But of the two, I do think GS has a little more fuel behind in its tank, if you will. So BlackRock, they did come out with earnings earlier in the week. Let's take a look at some of the characteristics here. They did also have very strong numbers. So they came out on Wednesday, and that first move out of the earnings did cause the stock to break back above this 10 and 21 day simple moving average. But as the week progressed, now we are in bullish territory above this 50-day, outside momentum indicators constructive, and then nice volume. So lots of interesting charts here in the financial space that I'm sharing with you that have now reverse downtrends. I'm going to move on to a different area. They have not yet reported earnings. This is industrial, but it is a delivery. It's UPS, United Parcel Service, and we can see with today, certainly with the increase in trucking stocks, the concept that more goods are being transported, quite positive. The U.S. Postal Service is struggling with their delivery abilities. So there is an anticipation, I believe UPS is now going to, at the government's behest, a 24/7, which I kind of thought they were on, but certainly they are going to be increasing their output, if you will, due to this increase in scheduling. Not the most attractive chart, I will say, because we can see this drop actually was in response to their last quarterly earnings. This was their first quarter earnings, super bullish. So UPS is due to report on October 26th. So I, for my work, might want to wait unless we do see further upside that pushes it out of a base and so forth. And then from here, as it relates to a turnaround, another area, this is actually in industrial, but it is commercial services. This is ADS, and they are a payroll. Actually, that is not the right ticker symbol. It's ADP. So you can certainly see the difference, I'm sure. ADP is automatic data processing, and they do have back office, human resources, payroll services, and nice downtrend reversal here. Not any real news to speak of, but we can see that the MACD is now up here in positive territory, positive RSI, and I get the stocks that I'm going to be attracted to are those that have exhibited nice uptrend. So they do have that really nice ability to outperform the markets once they get started. So keep that one certainly in your back pocket. Another name that we can take a look at, and they are due to report next week, but we can see in the industrial space. Now, not my favorite chart here, but this is what you will see in a number of these industrial stocks. We're going to get into some other names as well here, but again, it's that peak in price. In fact, PPG did move beyond, but peaked back here in June. Pretty serious downtrend here. And when you see the stock went from 180 down to 140, that's a very significant decline. I would argue it's going to take some time here to get this stock back really into something more natural looking, if you will. But let's go ahead and move on and take a look at some of these other industrial names. I talked about the group turning. So these again are more for you to drill down, dig further. It's not an area of the market that I am super familiar with individual names, but this is Illinois Tool, ITW, and we can see that nice break back above those moving averages. So potentially in the early stages of a turnaround. Another name here is a name that I actually am familiar with. This was a big winner for MEM Edge report in the past. You can see it's had this nice potential outperformance, and it is Eaton Corp, ETN. They are based out of Ireland. They do provide electrical power management. That's their big revenue source. And we can see the stock has broken back above that 50-day. Your RSI is positive. MACD had that nice crossover here. So this chart of those that I'm mentioning is certainly one that I would favor. I'm going to share with you not necessarily downtrend reversals, but a couple of other names that are in aerospace and defense. Actually, this is a downtrend reversal. Rockwell, ROK, breaking back above this 50. So I think you can see pretty clearly the dynamics that are drawing my attention. But again, equally important is this really nice ability to outperform the markets. So that's what's going to keep me interested. It does have the growth prospects to power it higher. So another area, and I did write an article about this last week in Stock Charts, Chart Watchers, and this is Northrop Grumman NOC, and then LHX has a very similar chart in the sense that it's charging to new highs, all about the space agency, and these two companies are among about 6 or 7 that are involved in helping the US government and the Defense Department use satellites as a defense. So last Friday, the bidding contracts were due, and then in early January, it will be released as to who wins these very lucrative contracts. Both of these companies are very much they're very much front runners. So just keeping that in the back of your mind there. And from here, what I did want to share with you is another area that I did not mention that I would get into, but it is all about cryptocurrency. There was news out certainly today that Kathy Woods, back in the news, she has filed paperwork to have an ETF that is a Bitcoin futures fund. So the concept there is that individuals that cannot afford to purchase Bitcoin, which is now, I believe, at about 57,000 per coin, can participate with this type of ETF if it gets approved. It certainly got the industry excited, but also the price of Bitcoin is on the move as well. So I'm going to share with you some crypto related stocks that are looking quite compelling. This is Coinbase, COIN. They are the largest US crypto exchange. They offer over 50 currencies, but take a look. Today's gap up, big volume, nice outside positive momentum indicators has pushed the stock out of this 6-week base. So I would certainly keep that one on your watch list, to say the least. HUT-H, H-U-T is the ticker symbol, not really talked about much, but it is based out of Canada. You can see big volume today, certainly relative. This is not your biggest company in the space, but we can see this nice base breakout that took place today. Big earnings, 113% growth this year, and I believe 122% growth next year. So big grower. And another name in this Bitcoin or cryptocurrency really space, not really easy to see, but this is an ETF that is Global X Blockchain. They invest in the types of companies that I'm reviewing with you here. It's not necessarily Bitcoin, similar to ARK's new one that they are looking to start. So here's Overstock. They also have a cryptocurrency division. It's not a big part. The biggest part of their business is going to be retail home improvement products. But let's move on. One last name that we can take a look at here. It always comes up when crypto is talked about. It's MicroStrategy. It is a software company. However, the CEO is very bullish on Bitcoin, and they own a lot. So when you see Bitcoin move similar to back here, you will see this stock take off. And let's see, I do have time for a couple of other areas that I did want to share with you, and that's some other base breakouts. Alcoa today, they did come out, and this is another stock that had a nice base breakout on huge volume. The company also increased their dividend. And then also this is Alcoa is an aluminum producer, but we are seeing a lot of movement in these commodity related stocks. So let's take a look at a couple of other names that are in this basic materials area that just turned bullish. This is Lithium Americas, LAC, another nice base breakout, positive momentum indicators occurring here. And it's all about supply demand issues that are taking place in these metals. So one other name we can take a quick look at here is Uranium, UEC, and we can see it is poised for a nice base breakout, but on this downtrend reversal, we got some nice volume here, and your outside momentum indicators looking constructive. And then another stock that came out, I talked about this on your Daily 5 this week. I identified 5 stocks. Another one was a steel stock due to report next week. So if you haven't, take a look at that. But this is Charles Schwab. They came out with very good numbers, gap up, big volume. So appears to be in an even more confirmed uptrend. I'm going to take a look here at 2 names that I shared with you last week and just share because among other names that I mentioned, well, it's not, this is Upstart. So we can see it ended the week just at these simple moving averages. And last Friday, we did not quite yet get the black line up through the red. I was on the lookout for that to take place to confirm a bullish uptrend. And it did take place on Tuesday, I believe. Let's just take a quick look here. It's up, 25% on the week. But again, it's that type of pullback reversal and then marrying your outside momentum indicators. Another stock that I did mention last week in line with Upstart is ATLC, Atlanticus Holdings, another one that pulled back. So this is what you're going to want to look for as the stock comes into favor or wakes up, if you will. And so I am going to leave it at that. For those of you that haven't already, go ahead and use that link below. Trial my MEM Edge report. You will be tuned in further to this rotation that's taking place and also be funneled into stocks that I favor potentially even more. I start my digging in tomorrow, and the report comes out on Sunday with the midweek report on Wednesday. And if you like what you've heard, go ahead and hit that like button, and any comments are welcome as well. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'm going to look for you next Friday.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.